Season 4, Episode 3 of the Harold Katz podcast. Glad you could join us over in Glickman and Keep It Poppers. And of course, Coach, a lot going on right now in the world of Jewish basketball. The Macs are dancing. The Macs have received their first round opponent, and the opponent is Bates. And we're going to talk about them a lot on this show. We're going to recap the Skyline Conference final as well. Coach, first off, how are you doing? Hope you're feeling safe over there in the Holy Land right now during this tumultuous time.
Thank God, doing well. Glad to see your energy picked up. Season 4, episode 3 podcast. Thanks, Oren. uh, thank God, doing well. But it doesn't mean we're not going to get interrupted. If we do, you know, you have all afternoon to wait. You know, thank God, doing good. Um, you know, it's it, we got I don't know 6 or 7 sirens yesterday. Five, I mean, that followed like 10 on so around that. They didn't wake us up in the middle of the night last night, so that was good. But this morning we got two within maybe 20 minutes of each other, 30 minutes of each other. Just when I was going to go in the shower the first time, boom, I got out, going in the shower the second time, did it again. So they're very inconvenient. And then another time in the morning, I don't remember if there was another time this afternoon, but it kind of rolls on top of each other. Thank God, doing good. And I will say this, booms are loud above us. Like it's loud. It shakes the building a little bit. Some, some of them do. So, but thank God we're here and safe and, just kind of confined to our abodes a little bit. You can go out, but you got to be close, and nobody's allowed to go to work unless you're, there's no going to synagogue, and there's none of that. So it's something that has to be done for our children more than anything else for our grandchildren. So everybody here knows that and knows they're under the protection of the creator of the universe. So that's my take on that. As far as basketball is concerned, I think last time we talked, um,
I think we're really going to town on YU's non-conference schedule and, was it would it be beneficial in the long run? I think you said at the time that, the jury's still out, we still need to wait and see, and we waited and see, and now we're
well,
dancing.
no, my complaint was not about the schedule. I was the guy who actually convinced Elliot to do stuff like that. My my com it wasn't a complaint, but my argument is every 3 or 4 games, you better get somebody in there you can beat, or at least you should be able to, you know, not blow 20-point leads to, something like that. I mean, when you consider the fact that we blew a 20-point lead to Tufts with 8 minutes to go or something like that. We blew a 6-point lead with less than 30 to go at Mary Washington. We had the game won at versus, Illinois Wesleyan. That game was over if we just shut up. And I think that's the moment that changed the season, honestly. There were two moments. One is when we decided we needed to make adjustments defensively because what we were doing wasn't working. And then the more important one was addition by subtraction. And as painful as it is to say it, because you all know how much of a fan I am of war, I just think it freed Zevi up a little bit, and the ball, all of a sudden, everybody was on the same page and going after the same thing and had no agenda. And you end up, the ball was moving, it didn't stick. And the only time it sticks now is when Zevi gets in a mood, and that's a good thing for us. So um, I think the preseason schedule, the out-of-conference schedule, definitely helped. I'm of the belief that you have to play teams like that to find out who you are. I don't think we were mature enough to play it then. I don't think we were smart enough to play it then. I don't think we were as cohesive enough to play it then. We were definitely not good enough defensively to play it then. I think we're a different defensive team, and I mean that in when we got to Illinois Wesleyan, we were playing better defensively. At Mary Washington, we played zone because we were in the process of changing our man-to-man. And so um, then so we knew what we were doing, and we were using those games to kind of find out who we are and how tough we are. I don't think we were very tough back then. I think we got a little tougher. And then you have to evaluate, is it the season and our conference opponents, or is it what we are doing? And I think it's a little of conference opponents and it's a lot of what we're doing. And I mean it in this way. Normally, you would say it's the opposite, but it's execution, taking care of the ball, which we were not doing very well early in the season, and guarding the ball, which we weren't doing very well in the season. Yeah, it's easier to guard some of the teams in our league, just like it's easier for some of the teams we played to guard us. Well, I'm going to take that back because I don't think it was easy for any of them to guard us. And the reason I say that is, you guys have heard this. We catch a lot of crap about what we do offensively, and it's a very, very, very steep learning curve. This is a fact. And anybody who's really understood it and really played in it knows that. Hey, Pop, contact Zevi. I'm just telling you, just text him.
Okay.
Okay. Like right now. Um, so so if you're in that learning curve, it takes a minute for us to get it. The fact that we went 19-0 with two different groups. I mean, think about what we did the first 100 years of this program, and think about what we've done since. It's 5 championships in 9 years. In my opinion, should have been 6. Should not have lost that day at Farmingdale. But I also believe that had we won that day at Farmingdale and gone back to back, we may not have gone 29-1 the following year because we would have missed that toughness. That being said, we catch a lot of crap for what we do offensively. I'm going to get into this with Max a little bit, but we catch some crap with what we do. Everybody kind of thinks they know what we're doing, and I would say 97% of the people who think they know don't know. And yet everybody assumes that Zevi could go get 36 in any offense he plays in. And it's just not true. If he played for Farmingdale, he'd have to run through their sets, and they'd have to call his number. You understand? He don't have to do that with us. Our offense is made in such a way where we know where the best players take the best shots. Put it that way. And I will say this: some of Zevi's shots are not the best for a regular person. We
We
know
talked about
what
that
we
last year too. Yeah.
Yeah, we know what we have with Zevi, and our offense allows that kind of creativity and and freedom and honestly fun. And I think this group has grown into it. Um, I'm not even sure everybody's totally gets it, but we get it enough that when we do it right, we're extremely hard to guard. So I take that back about being easier to guard. A lo- our execution is our execution. Regardless, does it translate against better opponents? I believe it does. So, and we are about to find out. So, you know,
Coach.
that's my take on that. I am, we all talked about 4 years ago with this group of kids, Dotan, Roy, Zevi. Um, was Max already here?
No,
Max
Max came the next year. It was a
the next
marvelous
year, right?
that
But we
year.
talked about how young they were. And then at some point, young was like last year. You're no longer young. You have to produce. And we found a way to win a championship. I think last year we were playing with house's money. This year, I think there's a different feeling. Like, you're gonna have to guard us now. It's we not a lot of ball stoppers right now in this offense, and the ticket to the offense is ball movement and player movement. When you have ball stoppers, it's problematic, and the ball stoppers are gone. So it has allowed for a different kind of freedom. Um, for the, I think we've definitely gotten better defensively. Um, that that's a good thing. It was something I didn't know if this team could do. Um, you can only play who's in front of you. And when you consider what we did in the preseason, what did we lose at Wesleyan by, Pop?
I want to say 18. I think we were up 5 at halftime and lost by 18.
Right. What was it with like 10 minutes to go? Was it a game still?
We were down by 10, maybe. It was
Yeah.
pretty quick right off the bat in the second half. I think it was 80 to
Yeah,
6.
I think I remember that. Yeah, I think I remember that.
We went, I want to say they went diamond and one on Zevi, then went back to man, and just the whole rhythm of
Yeah, I
everything got.
think if you do that, now, we're different.
Yeah.
I think it's a different team right now. If you try to junk us like they did yesterday, you get a different result. I do think yesterday, early on, we were just pathetic. And I mean pathetic in that we weren't us. We were just running fades and pops the whole time instead of attacking the basket with cuts. And once we started to attack the basket with cuts, end of the first half, in particular, start of the second half, it changed the entire game, and it changed how they had to play us. And well, we're at our best when we're all moving and reading the floor, and we weren't doing that for a large part of yesterday. A lot of that was what they were doing to us because we had to figure out what they were doing to us, and some of it was wide open and we couldn't see it. When we finally saw it, it did change the game. And to go in two at halftime and you played the way you did, I mean, to me, that's the best halftime situation to be in. I mean, we haven't even competed yet, and we're down two. It's almost win the half, win the game kind of thing. But so there's a lot more. But what do we got, Pop?
We got Max. Max is here if you want to bring him in already, and Zevi might be able to join as well.
Okay, well, let's bring on Max. This will be fun. Max, where you at?
How we
Maxwell,
doing?
thank God. Good to see you, bro.
Good to see you. Been too long.
Yeah, sure has. We're still going to talk this week, right?
Yeah, we're doing on Wednesday.
Yeah, man, that'll work. So, Oren, you want to take care of our guest? I'm not allowed to introduce you. It's or his
So we
old
are joined
job.
now by Max Zakheim of the YU Max, fresh off another Skyline Conference title to his belt. Max just learned a couple minutes ago that YU will be playing Bates at Montclair State, hoping for a big visiting YU fan base there. And Coach, take it from here.
Max, I apologize for Oren's lack of energy, but I think that's kind of how he does things now. He's just
Sorry.
so he's so frustrated in his day job. He's just he's so happy to be here. It takes over his energy. Max, Max, I was just talking about um, um, early season uh, um, and now. What is well, let's go back before I get to that. Could you sum up your time here and your the adjustment you had to make in your own game to play here?
Yeah, I mean, it's been obviously a long ride, 4 years at one place, which is not, I guess, so common nowadays in college basketball. Even at the Division 3, the Division 3 level, even guys at that level are, moving up, moving laterally, whatever it is. Um, but yeah, I mean, look, playing at the college level is an adjustment. No matter where you play in high school, you can be playing at, the Montverdes and whatever, or you can play in the Yeshiva League, and it's an adjustment. The pace of the play, the size, the physicality, all that stuff. I think for me personally, it was big thing that I honestly I don't think I really got this till this year really was learning when to pick your spots, learning when is the time to drive. A big thing that our coaches would harp on a lot my first 2 years is like long drives, which is like the top of the key, off no reversal or anything like that. Like that's when the defense is set. That's when the bigs are able to rotate and block shots and all that stuff. So that stuff that I had to cut out. Playing off 2 feet's another thing. I was able to get away with that in high school, playing off one and just being a jet to the rim. But it's not going to work all the time, in college. So I think those two things were, the biggest adjustments for me. And yeah, I think those were kind of the two biggest ones.
What I talk about here a lot on the learning curve to play in our offense. And would you say it was 1, 2 years before you really got it?
Yeah,
I
I mean, yeah, 100. It takes time. I feel like the classic thing, like some of my teammates would say, like I feel like I'm just running around like aimlessly. Like that might happen. The first couple of practices, first couple of months, couple of games, and then you start to figure things out. Like I even think that this year a big thing for me, it's like we always talk about like the slips and the seals when teams switch, where you're like you want to make a little bit of contact and then slip, and like it's easy, but like actually going and doing it in the game, it's just a foreign thing to people, and like I would hit because Debbie's big on it, and obviously the coaches like they were always like, yo, when you back screen me, go like hit him quickly and then slip, and like
yeah,
I just wasn't able to pick that up totally well, and I think this year I've done a much better job of just like
much
it's
better.
again it's just recognizing it, feeling it, repping it out, thousands and thousands of times, and you're able to get it. So obviously that's one main part of our offense. Um, and then yeah, I mean in terms of the spacing stuff and staying above motion line and stuff like that, it's really just reps, but that's with everything. No offense or anything that's
Yeah.
that's worth good doesn't require work and time.
Your MO was ball dominant. That's kind of what you were, a ball dominant guard. So in high school, I'm guessing even when you first got here, was all ball dominant. I think I think guys who are ball dominant, it takes a minute because it's more like let's give it up and get it back as opposed to what you said, long drives to the bucket, knowing when to go. I know that you and I even discussed this. Like you'll be like, well, when can I go? And I would say to you, you'll know when it's time. You'll see it when it's time. Well, there goes the neighborhood.
Well, it's often.
Hey Zoe, how you doing? Hold on, Max. Let me talk to the actual brains first, okay? Max. Max. So that you'll know when it's time to go. You and I would talk about that. You would go, well, when's the time to go? You'll know when it's time. Do you know that now more than you did, say, a year ago?
100%. It's also, understanding, personnel, understanding when, again, you said when's the time to do it. It's like when a lot of times, you feel like, oh, I can just take my guy off the dribble,
Right.
but that again, that's not a successful way to run offense, by just doing that. And once you get it reversed once or two times, it's just what opens up is just it just makes it so much easier. Even if, you could, maybe beat your guy off the dribble and make a play, it's just gonna again, it kind of goes hand in hand with, the good for great. It's just, yeah, you take your guy off the dribble, it could be a good shot, but just math's gonna math, and great shots are always gonna, reign
Exactly
supreme.
right. And that was the whole point. Let's trade good for great. Because everybody in college, or everybody worth anything in college, can shoot. Not all can shoot like your backcourt mate here, but everybody can shoot it. The question is, are you willing to be patient enough to get the good to the great? And before we get to Zevi, this thing, I kind of think it's the best basketball I've ever seen you play, in your last, I don't even 2 months, but in particular, your last couple of weeks is the best basketball you've ever played. It's the most patient I've ever seen you. It's the most intelligent I've ever seen you play. It's probably the best defensively I've ever seen you play. Is that just comfort level? Is that just leadership? What is that? Is that confidence in who you're playing with?
I think it's all of those. It's reps. It's reps and guarding guys like that across, 4 years now of guarding, all different types of guys, whether it's,
Right.
quick little guards or, a little bit bigger guys that like to use their body. It's, paying attention to scout, knowing where we want them to go, what shots we want them to take, or where we don't want them to go. It's just, it's all of those things. And I think, yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel great. I feel like I'm playing some of the best basketball I've played in a while, and it's been a lot of fun. Just going out there and like just not caring about anything, not caring about points, not caring about this, not caring about that. It's all just going out there, caring about getting that W, and like then the stats come. Then it's getting the rebounds, getting the steals, getting the
Right.
assists. Like then that stuff comes. But just going out there playing for the other four guys that are out there for me or with me, it opens everything up.
Different, different mindset than when you first got there, right? Like when you first
Yeah,
came, it's points and the whole deal.
yeah.
That's
It's I
all
mean when
down.
you're a freshman, when you're a freshman sophomore, you don't totally understand. And that's like the natural way of life. Is just it's not
Yeah.
that Zevi or I was a selfish basketball player. It's just
Well,
you don't know everything. You haven't gotten as much reps. I
yeah.
think my prep school coach told me when I was going into college, he's like you'll see the greatest way you get better in college is experience. It's all
Yeah.
experience,
No doubt.
and like that, I think that alludes to that. It's not that we come in here trying to get points. It's that our experience, has opened our eyes to better ways to win.
Zoe, um, you can go back to your freshman. I think your first day was at Illinois Wesleyan, and you did whatever you did that night. And then, what was your learning curve playing in this offense? How long did it take you to really get it?
I mean, it's a good question because I think a part of it has also been, the injuries we've had with the guys on the team.
Like
Like,
Matt?
yeah, you and Elliot, guys would always, the coaching staff would always tell me, Zevi, you got to reverse it, you'll get it back. And then
Yeah.
like there were games, so then I would, try to buy into that. And it's hard when I know that when I'm myself, like a contested shot, give up. But when the guys were hurt, Elliot would come over to me sometimes and be like, listen, sometimes you got to just go. So I think it was hard for me, and I don't blame him, but it was hard for me to develop and understand, when is it times to, and then when everyone like this year we're all healthy, it took me a second to say 1 second. My job isn't to shoot every shot now. My job is to shoot less and make sure we get better shots and get the right guys their shots. And I think that that was a huge, huge help. And obviously, the leadership of a guy like Max to be able to say, you know what, I could go from averaging 17 points a game to averaging under, I don't even know how many, under 10, because all he cares about is winning. It puts all of us into reality check and say, hey, 1 second. I know I can score a lot of points. I know I can make shots, but it's very nice to make shots, but it stinks to lose. So at the end of the day, you want to win. And for me
Right.
personally, to just give up, good for great was something that was really great. I think it was over the past couple of years, but I think, when Max took that leadership, I think it helped me a lot.
So, like I think somehow Alpert used to say it's going to take a year or two. Ryan said it took him till his second year. I think it's when you both started to screen that the whole offense kind of took off, if you know what I mean. Max, it goes back to what you said about the slip. And I know yesterday, Zevi, there was a play where we reversed the ball to Doton, but we shouldn't have reversed it to Doton because the slip was wide open. And I think in the middle of the play, you actually pointed to him to go bucket, and we were settling for the flares and the fades. You remember the possession?
Yeah, for
It,
sure.
it was near the end of the half, and interestingly enough, I think it's the next possession or two. Well, he does it again, and then Roy goes bucket, and then Max goes bucket.
Well, Dotan's always gonna flare.
Yeah,
Dotan's always gonna
but
flare.
but I'm talking about it was so wide I could have got down the middle of that lane. I mean, there's like nobody there. And Zevi kind of in the middle of the play is looking at him and pointing his hand like, dude, just slip. And I think maybe we're at a timeout or they caught you in a free throw. And Zevi said, we got to slip. We got to slip. And right, Zevi, you remember this? And
Yeah.
I don't think, I think, and Zevi, you and I used to talk about this a lot. The screener is the guy who's always open. And you don't realize that when you're a freshman or a sophomore, everybody's hurt. But the screener is always open. And when you ask me, well, how am I going to get any shots? And what did I tell you? You don't remember this conversation,
No, to
Zevi?
keep screening,
Yeah,
but
a
I,
100 times.
to keep screening, I think also like uniquely for me, um, it was hard for me a little bit because I remember there would be games where guys wouldn't cut off my screens hard, and the
Correct.
coaches would be like, "Screener's always open," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not getting the ball, and we're not getting a layup." But when I started really screening and guys started cutting, the guy who cuts when I set the screen is wide open for a layup, and you know what? For them to
Um,
get a wide open layup is I'm so much more happy about that than me to get the ball after I pop out. But to realize that yes, either you screen, me personally screen and we get an open layup, or I screen and they switch and now we get a cutter. So it's yes, screen
yeah,
is always open, but I personally felt when I started screening, people started cutting off hard and it just becomes wide open.
yeah. Not only that, I think I told this to Ellie or Elliot last night. Maybe it was this morning. I don't know. I'm going in and out of a bomb shelter, so I don't really have a great. But I think Zevi, when the pass you throw to Roy, he gets fouled on the play. Uh, I don't know if you make that pass 2 years ago. Like I think you're going bucket. It's 2-on-1. I could, you know, Elgin Baylor step it. Y'all call it Euro step, but I could step that or take it. Right, you know what I'm talking about. He's up
Yeah,
there.
I mean
I think that's
it's
the
been a
growth.
big yeah. It's been a big awareness for me to understand that when I get to certain spots, teams are gonna key in and try to double and extra help. And I talk to Max about it all the time after every game. I'm like, can't believe I don't jump off two. I can't believe I'm not landing off two. If only I
Yeah,
did, I would be able to kick out more. Instead, I take crazy layups. But you're right, to get to that spot and to be totally composed and calm and relax and be able to step through and pass it to him 100%. It took me a while to get that.
yeah. I think that's the growth of a team, and that's the growth of trust, and that's the growth of a guy who is totally present and totally bought into what we're doing. I said this before you came on. Um, Max, you've played in, I mean, you both probably have played in call your play offenses. You know what I mean? Like we're going to run this play. Like I think people think it's easy to get 36 in a college game. I think people think it's easy to get 25 or 30. I think if you played in a set offense where we're going to run this double screen for Zevi and then we're going to run it, at some point, some coach has taken that away from you, and now what? And here, how do you scout for either one of you two guys? What do you say in your scouting report? Like, here, we know what Zevi's going to do because he's going to what? No, because every possession looks different. And the growth of you guys, as I see it, is that what I mean, I'll say this for you, Max, from the I know we used to the dribble thing to give it up, go, um, a screen. Your growth as a screener is it's night and day from what it used to be. I think it's because of a buy-in and an understanding of what we're trying to do. Am I right about that?
100%. Again, as we talked about before, it's having that experience and finding ways to, impact winning through our
Yeah,
offense,
good
like
point.
again, people not everyone understands that like that, you said a screen and Zevi gets a flare, like that screen is more important than making the shot. And that, and that
Right,
that passer throws a nice over the top skip pass has to be on time and on target. And that's just as important as making the shot. So like doing things like that, just impacts winning. And that's, obviously ultimate goal. And I guess one other point to touch on what you just said
yeah.
before about Zevi saying about like, how you're supposed to scout that. I have a good story about that. We actually got a hands-on or we saw a piece of an opponent's scouting report and it
Yeah,
said
yeah.
Zevi Samet's favorite move to screen and pop out. That's his favorite move. 2,500 point scorer. His favorite move is to screen and pop out. So how do you scout it? That's what I'm saying. His favorite move to screen and pop out. So that's, 2,500 points. I'm just screening and popping out.
Yeah, I think the greatness of Zevi is that it's screen switch slip. Like I just can't in my head. I'm trying to think of how many times in the last 4 months you're back screening and going bucket. You understand what I'm talking about? Like you'll set the back screen, the guy will jump you because it's in the scouting report that you're going to pop, and now I'm just going bucket. You
Right,
understand?
100%. But I think like what Max was saying is which was so good about our teammates is like that's all attributed to the guys on like who I'm setting the screen for. The fact that our offense, when you're in a play, it's like, okay, I remember certain times when we used to run plays in high school, it's like, all right, Zev, you just stay in the corner and you're a decoy. It's
Right,
like every guy's involved on every single play. So that means that if I'm back screening somebody and he sees that they're switching, it's his job to go flare to the corner. Now, when he flares to the corner, he just created me to get open layup. So I feel like the fact that every person is involved and every person has to be ready at every second because there is no you go here, you go there. It keeps all of us
right,
engaged and it keeps all of us feeling like you look at the stat sheet. I might not have 8 assists, but me back screening, I know within our
yeah,
offense, that's my
right,
assist. And
right,
yeah,
right. There's something to be said, in my opinion, when we moved off of what we were doing man to man wise and went back to what we should have done. In my opinion, we everything changed for this group. We became tougher because we were tougher defensively. We were. Uh, I, I'm trying to say this in such a way where it's a credit to everybody on the floor that we could not stop middle penetration because we were so extended on the perimeter. So we're all high up in the passing lane, and guys are just going by you. So if you get beat on the dribble, he's going right past you, and you're over here denying the pass, a foul line extended, and you're kind of like, well, I could have helped on that. And so I think the change in that uh, kind of turns the season a little bit. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, you know, teams we've struggled with in the past have been teams that, spread us out a little bit and are able to, kind of beat us off the dribble. get the drop-offs, rolls, kick out threes.
Right.
Those are the type of teams that we've kind of struggled with a little bit, especially now with that. We have probably the most size in the Skyline. It's not that we're a
Right.
smaller team. We're rolling out there, 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", So so yeah, so that,
Oh, we lost your audio, Max. Pop, are you the producer of this show or what?
Yeah, I'm the producer. I
How do
can't
we not have Max's audio?
suddenly reappear though. I'm
Max,
not.
you have audio? We got a 1 second. Zevi, you have audio?
Yes, sir.
There we
yeah,
go.
Coach Diamonds called me and it ruined everything.
Screw him. Hang
Coach,
up.
Yeah, I
Coach,
did, but it disconnected, I think, my stuff.
Coach, let me just jump in, Coach, for a second. I have a question
Yeah.
for you just based on the
Yeah, sure.
just having. So you're talking about the development when it comes to making the read off the back screen right now. Hey, if they're going to switch, let me slip. And if you screen, you'll be open. So I'm curious, when you were doing that, like as a sophomore, were you screening because, hey, I'll screen and then I'll get open and I want to shoot, so I'm going to screen and then pop open, pops to the perimeter for a three? Or is it that you're making better reads now and recognizing that they're switching? Meaning, are you now slipping more because you're recognizing that the switch happened? Or are you slipping more because you're no longer single focused? I want a back screen so that I can hit a three.
Yeah, I mean, I think personally for me it was like, you know, when I started getting good at basketball, probably in 12th grade, there were plays for me, and I was very much like, okay, now I'm in college and there are no plays for me. So not in a selfish way, but more of, listen, I know my talent. I know that I can help the team win. Like, how can I get the ball? And when I realized there's no plays and my only play is back screen and pop out, I'm like, it's either this or nothing. And then when I started seeing that teams really started not helping off of me, I'm like, wow, this is pretty fun. You backstream, you get a guy a wide open layup. Like, where else do you see in college basketball somebody get a wide open layup? Like, he didn't break anybody down, he didn't do anything, he just got a wide open layup. So the fact that I can backstream somebody, like the biggest thing I yell at the guys is like, guys, just cut off my screens. And
Right.
then if they cut off hard and they don't get a wide open layup, I'll probably end up getting an open shot. So I guess the slips ended up coming from is like, you know what? The amount of times that I'm late on my slips is because I just assume they're going to get a wide open layup based on my back screen that I delay the slip. But I think sometimes like it's hard to see behind my head, but it's something that, listen, my first initial thing is I'm back screening to get somebody open. Then I'm going to pop out to shoot. Okay, still on my high side. Now it's changing speeds and seal him. And that's when the slip comes. But it's also to read, did the guy back cut? Did he flare? So it's a lot
Right.
going on, but I think it's an adjustment of, hey, listen, I'll get my shots. It'll come when it's supposed to come, but let's go get everybody else open first because when that comes, the ball ends up coming back to my hands.
I think that's the first thing we talked about October 10th, whatever that day was when I came, um, about play for each other. And the best thing you could do on this team is try to help your teammate get a shot. And that's what I believe accentuated your game, Max. That it was no longer, the only way I can score is the dribble drive. Yesterday there was a play that I was actually upset watching. I think it's at 40-40, and Yair gets it in the post and kicks it to Dotan, who's wide open but not ready to shoot. So he goes to you in the corner, Max, and then you throw back to Yair, but Yair had lost the post, and the kid jumped underneath. You remember the play? And then they come down
Yeah.
and hit a three, and then Dotan comes down and hits a three. And I'm like, you have to be able to be ready to play on the catch. So Dotan's standing straight up and not ready to shoot the wide open jump shot when we want him to is the reason that A, we don't get the shot. B, Yair has to hold his post for 5 seconds. C, he goes to you, and then by the time you see it and you try to throw inside at that angle, well, Conroy or whoever that was is already around on the play. So it's kind of not your fault. It was really, and that's how I watched the game. I watched the game when Dota, it's his job to shoot the ball right there. And if you don't have it, Yair's back inside. He's repost and go throw it to him. You don't always have to go to Max on that. You can go back inside to the post on the little That's what we had. So that's the play that upset me because sometimes the great shot is that shot. You understand what I mean? Dotan's shot is the great shot because he's wide open, the clock's under 10 or 15, and he's able to shoot the basketball, just not ready to shoot. So that comes with that all comes in the same, not only back screen or pop, but also be ready to play on the catch. But interestingly enough, I think our first uh 8 points in the second half were all at the rim.
Right.
Okay.
I
And what?
Can I say
Go ahead.
something quick?
Yeah.
I think, listen, at the end of the day, with all the pros that, all like the not like the professionals, but like the pros that comes with no offense, I think the one con that we do have is that because every person in their mind is thinking, hey, let's get a better shot,
Yeah.
sometimes we hesitate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes,
You don't, but
maybe
yes.
Dosan should have shot that ball, but in his mind,
Yeah, I'm
when
not.
we're
Yeah,
programmed
Zebby,
to
I
give him
get where you're
more.
going. Yeah, I'm interrupting you because I get where you're going. My complaint is not that he didn't shoot it. My complaint is that he wasn't ready to shoot.
Right, right.
He was straight up. And I don't know if any of you in that situation are. I don't think Max is, and I don't think you are, and he's usually not. So it's that lack of aggressiveness but then he turned around and banged two right in front of guys' faces. You know what I mean? And to be honest, I think the play of the game, well, those kind of open the thing up. But when Max, you take the rebound and tip it to Zevi, you're just trying to break up the rebound. That
Yeah, I mean, I've been just trying to get in there and mix things up with whoever,
yeah,
like,
yeah. But I
so
mean,
there I just being
that's a play of
physical
the
and
game to me.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a play of the game to me because we are starting to cook a little bit at the rim, and they're responding, and we're going, and you know what I mean. And then it's kind of like uh, uh, it's just like an energy thing. I think your anticipation the last few weeks on the defensive end has been extraordinary. I thought yesterday was off the chart. Personally, I don't think you should have went to your left hand on that layup, by the
I
way.
know that was bad. That was
Just
bad.
stay
Yeah,
on
I
the
know.
right, do the
That was
Zevi
bad.
thing, let
I
him
know.
foul you.
Yeah, he would
You
have
know what I
fouled me.
mean?
It was bad. That was bad.
Yeah, and not only
Yeah.
that, but you're left-handed, you can't even use that hand. So like, why
I
are
don't know
you
about that, but
why are you even doing it? But it was just such a great play.
yeah, I know.
Your entire offensive game yesterday was really feeding off your defense. But to me, the willingness to reverse the basketball and the ball only sticks when Zevi has it. And I don't mean that in a bad
Yeah.
way. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that like, Zevi, I remember when you were still in high school in that summer, maybe it was when you came back from Israel. I guess you sent me a video of you playing pickup with a bunch of brothers someplace in Jersey, and you giving them the business. You running your mouth, you know what I mean? You're talking to them a little bit. Yesterday, you get a situation where this is what I meant by the ball sticking. You hit the first three of the second half. You've already come off that layup. Then you hit the three, and then you're like messing with the guy. I'm kind of like, oh my God, this poor kid has no idea what's about that. You know what I'm talking about? And then you
I
just
didn't
kind of
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I know you didn't say anything to. You didn't have to. Like that's the point now. I think when you're in high school, you probably said something. Now you're Zevi Samet. So I'm just pulling this on you. But the plant
I
the left
expected to
foot.
go in.
Yeah, but I'm saying that like somebody was saying, what Zevi started making. Well, no, Zevi making shots is what's in our offense. Like
Yeah.
that's part of our offense. Like
Yeah.
that's what we want. Am I wrong about that, Max? Like that's part of what we're looking for is Zevi. Now, not necessarily in from the third row, but you
Yeah, I
know what I
mean
mean?
it could be from the third row. I mean, especially against Farmingdale. But yeah. I mean, Zevi could I guess validate this point. I've said stuff to Zevi in practices, yelled at him in games, whatever. But I've not said one word to him ever about a shot. And if it goes in, great. If it doesn't go
What
in, I'll say shoot
what
the next one.
what do you say to him? That is not a
It's
bad
a
shot. Come on, give it.
It's on the other end sometimes. It's about,
Yeah,
just being alert. I think Zevi's actually a very good on ball defender. We
he
played
can
one
be.
on
Yeah,
ones. We played a one on ones, 2-on-2s in the summer and all that stuff, playing against high level guys and he's guarding guys that I just
yeah,
sometimes Zev, loses, I think, focus. That's he loses focus a little bit up here of him, running around on offense and now he's on defense. Oh, I'm gonna, slouch for a second. And that's when I think, he kind of gets hurt a little bit. But in terms of just one-on-one guard the basketball, Zevi's, good. He's good. Like I'm not even just saying that. He's good. I've went against him. He's a good one-on-one defender. He just got to stay involved and locked in on that end. That's where he gets into trouble, I think.
Zebby's so happy. He only heard the part where you said he was one on one. All that rest of that about locking in, he's like, nah, I'm not.
It's not
But
true.
I think just to add, back to your point before, like what you said about Max and his rebounds, like I think it's a culmination of two things. First of all, Max came to me the other practice and was like, listen, like I get beat a lot on like boxing out. Like it's very degrading when I box somebody out and the ball bounces it the other way and the guy rebounds. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And Max told me, he's like, it's really hard to box somebody out. It's really hard. And he's like, I think I'm just gonna start going for offensive rebounds. Like I'm gonna get some of them. And like that was one. And it's two, it's like it's a mindset. Like the way you played on defense is like that's how he shows up every day in practice. It's like every day in practice, it's like I'm gonna get a stop, I'm gonna hustle, I'm gonna go get the rebound. And again, I think the thing for that's why it like he did what he did. Like it doesn't show out every game because he doesn't have the opportunity every game to make those certain like moments of that steal, but he's in the right spots in practice. He gets yelled at every little thing. So do I. And like that's what and I attribute a lot to Coach Ronnie for that, where he picks on every little detail. Like I'll get a great box out, I'll guard a guy, and yet still get yelled at. And I'm just like, all right, so I'm not going to play defense again. But it's the mindset to keep going and to keep pushing. But I think in terms of me, it's like it's so easy to get caught up when I'm running around shooting the ball and I'm like, all right, I need a breather. And like I know in my mind that I'm getting put on the worst defender, so let me just take a break for a second. And then next thing I know, I get picked on by the other team and say just go after Zevi.
yeah,
And it's a mindset shift that I have to lock in a little bit more and say, hey, listen, I can score a certain amount of points, but if I give up half of that, what
yeah,
good should I do? You know?
we had a thing. I might have told these guys on a different podcast, but I had a kid playing for me, and he had 33 one night. He was just awesome. And a guy he was checking had 35. So I called him -2. Okay. And so the next practice, and you guys will know this, he wasn't allowed to, all we did was run defense. And he wasn't allowed to sub out for that hour and a half. So you could just think about, and I'm kind of like, well, you think you're 33, it meant nothing to us. We were -2 because of you. And so, in a sense, kid was still great. It wasn't all his fault, but my point was, don't rest on the defensive end because we're doing enough here offensively where we'll get you what you need on the offensive end. We just need stops. And the truth is, like coming into this week, it's all about stops when you get later in the season. If you can't get stops, you can't play. And the truth, even the way you shoot, it still boils down to layups, free throws, passing, catching, and stops. If you can't, and where I think we've made the most progress is in the fact that we're taking care of the basketball. And when you take care of the basketball, that gives you more opportunity for you to get ball reversal max and find penetration or get the open three, which by the way, the other night, I don't remember who it was. I don't remember if it was your first playoff game or the one Friday. You hit such a big three. It might have been Friday. Is that what it was? Was it Friday?
Yeah, it's
It was
Friday.
it was
Purchase.
such a big shot because the game was falling away, and it was such a big shot. And it's you don't need high volume. You just need ones that are available to you and that are good
Exactly.
to take. That are good to take. And so, from my standpoint, um, sometimes we'll get film of kids and just go, well, he's awful ball dominant. Are we going to be able to get him to do what we need him to do? You are the absolute number one example of a ball dominant guard who turned into a lead guard on a back-to-back championship team and cared about we more than me. That is 100%. That's why for me, it's been such a joy to watch you. And that's why I wanted you on the show to tell you publicly. I remember what you were. I remember our conversations and the films I used to send you. And we used to talk about film and I remember all the things. And I would just say to you, Max, just be patient. You're going to see it. It's going to come. And for me, it just seems like it kicked in this season, and your whole game. I have not felt that way about you every night, obviously, this year, like at Tufts, when we're pissing 20-point leads away. But for the most part, especially the last 5, 6 weeks, both of you have elevated the we. And part of our we, Zevi, is you doing what you do. And people don't really understand that. And that's okay because they don't need to understand that. We understand that. And that's part of what we need you to do is to be who you are. And it's the same thing with you, Max. From the defensive end and the offensive end, it's just, and so this is not really like, hey, what's your favorite meal on Shabbos kind of podcast. It's kind of like, let's dig into slips and why did you run that cut? This is a question I wanted to ask you before. Has a follow-up to Pop's question. Are you reading your defender now, where before you were just kind of doing it? Do you know what I mean? Like, now I know what you mean when you say read your defender. He'll tell you where to go. Are you guys in on that right now? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think yeah. At first, we're running the first 2 years, 1, 2 years. You're screening and you're slipping. It's because they told you to. Like a lot of it's just like,
Yeah,
yeah, they're telling me to do it, so I'm going to do it. But I
yeah,
think it wasn't until maybe some point last year, especially this year, it's like you're able to read your defender because you've done it so many times that the game kind of slows down a little bit. Whereas like when you're a freshman and sophomore, you're just kind of running around in a frenzy. You're just run. I got to screen, I got to do all those things, and then reading your defender is not so hard when you take time, you've done it a lot of times, and the game slows down for you. Then it's honestly pretty easy. But at first you think of it as such a hard thing, like I got to be going 100 miles an hour, I got to be, and you
right.
miss it. But yeah, now 100%. Maybe when I'm getting a back screen from Zevi, I'm not reading it, I'm just blindly going straight to the rim. But
Yeah.
and from other other cuts and other screens, it's 100%. It's you got to take your time and read it and kind of see what the defense is giving you.
Same things, Abby?
Yeah, for me, 100%. I don't know. For me, 100%. It's like, I mean, I'm first just programmed like, listen, just get a back screen for somebody and get him wide open layup because that's what it's been like. But for sure, and then, you know what? Sometimes I try to slip and then I'm like, all right, it's not there, and I go back out and try to back screen somebody else. It's like, I think for sure it's more reads. But I also want to go back onto what you said before about Max, about how um about like what he does tell me and like the leadership. I think it's like he came over to me last game like in Farmingdale yesterday and was like at halftime, he's like, all right, Xavier, like you're gonna have a big half. Like he's like, this is your half. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, this is your half. He's like, nobody here can guard you. And you're gonna score. And it's like, I'm like, it's like a confidence booster. Sometimes, like what you said, like it's like part of our offense is me doing my thing. It's like, yes, but like, when Elliot gives us a speech and says, hey guys, we're not reversing the ball. Hey guys, we're not getting the post touch. I'm like to myself, okay, so there were times where I asked him this season, I'm like, listen, if I'm wide open for a three, do I pass it? And he's like, if you pass it, I'm taking you out. And it's like, it's hard for me a little bit to be like, hey, listen, our motion is to move it, two ball reversals, get a post touch. And I'm like, so do I shoot? Do I not? But I'm open, but I should reverse it. So I think it's like a big part of it is, yes, obviously to realize that I'll get it back, but to realize that I have another leader out there and leading all of us that says, hey, listen, if the ball touches your hands and you feel like it's going in, just shoot the ball. And obviously, he'll tell me if it's too quick sometimes, like, hey, listen, like we could honestly, he probably never said that to me ever. But he's just, it's trust. Like when you have a player out there that just says, like anytime the ball touches your hands, I think it's going in. Anytime you shoot, I think it's going in. It's a confidence of like, hey, listen, yes, my job is to reverse the ball, get in the post touch, but sometimes my job is when the ball touches my hands, let it fly. And to have that
Yeah.
leadership and confidence is great.
It's interesting. This is the second group of, let's just say it's the second class that we've had that has gone 19-0 in their senior year. And like the Simcha Dani class did that. And the similarities were exactly what Zevi said. Max, I was talking to somebody today and he said, we just haven't had the same leadership of Donnie and Simcha until these two guys, until Zevi and Max. And that's 100% true. And part of that is what you just said to Zevi. Like some, they would tell Sim, you're if you're feeling good, shoot the basketball. But what made him great was his ability as a screener. This is where Zevi, you in particular, remind me of Simcha, and that Sim would screen it. He was a better screener than you, obviously, because he cared more than you do. No, he was a great screener because he understood right away that that's how I'm gonna. If we're gonna win, I'm gonna need the screen because I'm gonna get the ball or they're gonna get the ball. But somebody's getting a good shot here. And and sometimes I think what Max is telling you is your everyone else's good shot is your great shot. So I'm not saying go out there jerk 35 up. You know what I mean? But to get I mean, Pop, how many shots did Zebi take yesterday? I'm guessing less than 20,
I want to say 22. I'll check.
22. 36 in a box of one is pretty good effort because that's what they were doing to you all night. And the patience of you and your teammates and to kind of here's a question for you,
22.
Max, more than Zevi. When he's cooking like that, is there a kind of a feeling like let's get Zevi the basketball?
Yeah, I actually think, in the first half, we didn't do a good job of, recognizing, the flow of the game. Like
Agreed.
I think it was a timeout maybe around the 10-minute or so mark. And I just taken a quick shot and Roy took a couple and I brought over, all five of the guys,
Overtime, yeah.
in the huddle. And we're like, we got to recognize what they're trying to do and how if we do what we're supposed to do, we're gonna totally just dominate that. Like we fell into the trap a little bit too early of, good for great. They were good shots, Joey
Settling for
Ton,
good.
Roy, me, I was open, but it
Yeah.
was probably 20 on the shot clock and shots that again we can get, the whole
Anytime we want.
anytime the shot clock. And you see that later in that stretch, where we got three layups and a half. I think it's on either I think the layup that Roy got or the third no sorry the layup that Zevi got the third one when he got that back
Back
that
cut.
back layup, I'll probably was 15 or 16 on the clock, and I got it on a reversal for a three, pump fake, got off of it. Yair finds Zevi
Beautiful.
back cut. So,
Beautiful.
what could I made
Beautiful.
that three? Yeah, I could have made that three, but we passed that to Yair. He finds Zevi for a layup. That's a 95% shot versus I like to think like
Yeah.
35-40% shot, but maybe a little bit
Well,
lower.
well, conversely, hold on, Zevi, don't you hit Max for a layup on the play
Yes,
before?
play before that. Yep,
Right.
and that's
So
again.
the whole gym thinks he's shooting the basketball.
Yep,
And they're trying to take away our back cuts with what they were trying to do. It was obvious how they were spreading out, making sure they had one or two guys on Zevi all the time. And they took their box, made it a diamond. Even when they went man to man, they were kind of spreading out. And the ability to recognize, the cut down the middle of the paint is what's going to win the game here. And that's what I was trying to say before. I think our first 8 points of the half in the second half on it was we got 6 layups on 7 possessions, including Zevi's fast break, and the other one was Yoa kicking a layup, and then missing the 2 free throws.
That was the
But
first
that,
possession was Yo missing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's off a cut. And
Yeah.
everything's at the rim off cuts or Zevi's transition layup. It's all at the rim. And now they're so worried now about the rim. Now they got to deal with this mamma jamma when he catches on the perimeter and starts doing what he does. And what people don't get, and you do because you're in the X and O, is that is exactly what we're trying to do. Get all of that other stuff and Zevi the opportunity to shoot the basketball. And well, actually, we don't even say it. It's just like play basketball. My question
Yeah.
for you is, I made you both of you guys a promise when you first showed up, and I said, I promise you, it's going to be the most fun you've ever had playing basketball. I said two things: the most freedom and the most fun. Did I lie to you, or did I tell you the truth?
That was cold hard facts, coach. That was that was
Yeah, I
facts.
mean,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. Go ahead, Max. Finish.
yeah, I mean, as I say, I mean, that was just, I mean, straight facts, as we like to say, what on the court, off the court, I think a big part of, our success is, told Zevi yesterday is just, our family aspect, and there's no bickering, there's no, like, it's just, we're all there to try and get, guys in the right spot, see other guys succeed. And, a lot of teams around the country don't have that. It's a
No, I
lot of
don't.
guys that,
A lot of te a lot
yeah,
of teams, a lot of teams in our locker room didn't have.
yeah,
And
exactly.
the two teams that have it is the one thing they had in common is there was always a guy, like Donnie was just the guy who took care of all the logistics in the locker room, like make sure you tell this guy this. Simcha was the mean cuss and just said, hey, this is how we're going to do it. And if you don't like it, you can leave, but this is our locker room. And this is how we're going to play. And then the entire team coalesced around that, and it's this brotherhood kind of thing. And that's the similarity between these two basketball teams is that exact thing, the leadership and a guy not afraid to say, hey, we don't play that way here, and that's not going to work. Um, I know things that I'm not going to share about what's going on, and your both of your ability to just say, no, we don't want that. That's not what we want anymore. Like you know what I'm talking about. Like we're past that. Or yes, we'll let you, but this is about it. You know what I mean? And that it's because of the two of you. And that's, I think, why you have success on the floor is because you have that in the locker room, and then you go off the floor and everybody just wants to hang because you're just boys. And these are the relationships you're going to have for the rest of your life, especially with these stupid apps and everything where you can talk to each other all day. Zevi's first, I'd say, 3 years, he thought you could play defense on WhatsApp. But but now he realized you actually have to be on the floor. You can't just text defensive principles. But the best part is honestly to be able to say, hey, this you see this thing on the film? Max, you and I have done this. Zevi, we've done this. This is not great. Here's why it's not great. Because instead of taking that extra dribble, we can get it and get it back. You can pass and just go bucket. You know what I mean? I mean, Max, we talked about the flash post. Like just flash the paint. Just it changes everything. Look, I'm still saying this. Like if you remember Yair yesterday, in the middle of that run to start the half, catches a flash post wide open at the free throw line because they left him wide open, and the flash is the killer. So Max, whatever happens over the weekend here, if we're not, it's the flash, just flash, not you tell someone else to do it, whatever. Flash the post wide open. It will always be there in our offense, and I'm personally so proud of watching the way you both play, not only together but individually and as a group, as the kind of the head of the snake here a little bit. Um, I know the struggles that we've gone through from the offensive standpoint. I know our struggles on the defensive standpoint, but I questioned if we were ever going to get here. Like, were we just going to keep doing dumb things at the worst time, like at Mayor Washington or at Tops? Are we just going to do things that make no sense and we can't explain it? Or are we actually going to turn the corner? And I think we turned the corner in the games that tested us, like Illinois Wesleyan. Like, dude, that's just the one that got away. Like, that never should have happened. That never should happen. Who knows if you're on a two line? Think about this. You beat Mary Washington. That game's six. I think I talked about earlier before you got on. I think it was six, less than 30 seconds to go. McTufts is 20, deep in the second half. We just can't shut up and we lose to Illinois Wesleyan. Like those three games put you on the two line.
Coach, those 3 games puts you on the 1 line.
No, never mind. Those three games put you on the one line. But so think about this. We're basically, because that Mary Washington game goes a single overtime or double? Double overtime. The Yair hits a shot at the end of the first overtime, right? Something like that. Is that what happened? So think about that for a second. That's how close we are to being in the top 15 teams in this country. I wasn't sure we were going to get there, but it's the way the unit became cohesive and the ball kept moving instead of stopping. And I'm sure you guys understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think also it's just, as much as each of those games hurt so much and like knocked us down mentally for a little bit until we decided it's not gonna let us affect us, we would have not been where we are today without those games. Obviously, everyone always
Agreed.
says like, oh, but like for us personally, like we switched our defense because of the game that like
Yeah.
we came into. I'll never forget. It's probably one of the greatest moments in my YU career. The fact that we learned a zone on a pickleball court in
Yeah.
Virginia and went out to
One
Mary
big,
Washington, who has been under the top 5 the whole year, and we destroyed them on that. And I
totally.
think obviously, like, okay, then we learned that the second half they picked us apart. But the fact that we switched our defense and then we realized, hey, listen, I'm not good enough to win by myself and I need to trust everybody. And even when teams go box and one, that's just another reason to find other guys. And I think each loss just taught us so much. And we looking back, we're like, all right, well, still, if we didn't lose, we still would have learned a lot about it,
Yeah.
even if we would have only won by 1 point. But, we can't go back and change that. But I think every loss taught us so much about ourselves and the fact that we were 1-7 and we knew how good we really were. To be able to not put ourselves down is, I think, a big reason why we went 19-0 in the conference.
Yeah. Max, agreed.
Yeah,
You
I
agree with
mean, totally agree. Obviously, we've talked about it all the time. Pop said 3 plays, really 3 plays away from,
that? Yeah.
being on that one line. So, we're going into the tournament, this weekend with, immense confidence. We know that we can play with any team in the
Anybody?
country. And we're,
Yeah.
it's it's a different feeling maybe than a last year. We're like, a little bit happy to be there. Like we're going there expecting to win. And like, I mean, we're, not even just 1 or 2 games. Like we really believe we can make a legit run in this thing and play ball for a while, man. I just want to keep
Yeah.
on playing.
Like I've made the argument, and you guys, I think, are really the only team that can attest to the validity of what I'm about to say. That Simcha Alpert, Donnie Katz team went to the NCAA tournament as sophomores and should have won in their junior year. I don't know if you remember the game. Should have won the game. And I believe it's losing that game final at Farmingdale that enables them to go 29-1 the next year because of that loss. You understand what I'm talking about now when I say that? You recognize, in other words, the same argument. This, like, if we beat Mary Washington, maybe we're not that good. In other words, maybe we don't run the table here, or maybe we get tripped up by, Farmingdale. You understand what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So
It made our, our attention to come to detail and practice more, it led to, different conversations. I totally agree. We wouldn't have, had to, change things or, go through all we wanted. We would have been, happy. That's what coach always says all the time. We could schedule a soft schedule and you wouldn't learn anything. You would just kind of roll through and get
Be
to the conference and get
24,
tripped up.
be,
And, so
be
we
24
wouldn't
and
have
20.
necessarily learned. I think about that all the time with games. So it's like if just one play goes different, you win the game,
Yeah,
and then you're just like, oh, we won. We're not gonna like lock in on as much of the detail
right,
as to if one little play went differently, we would have lost and we would have seen all these other details. If you know what I'm saying?
right.
Like,
So imagine you're back to back, and then you can win a third one, and because you don't win the back to back, you totally come back with a different perspective, a different attitude, a different
yeah,
toughness. Like we will not, and that team had won 18 in a row in the middle of the year. Like they got off to a very similar start because of injury or whatever, and then won 18 in a row and lost a huge player in the scheme of things. And and then and then I think gets tripped up late because they didn't get stops, and that focuses everybody on the defensive end. Guys, you guys have anything, Pop, Oren?
I mean, I just want to make a point about we talked probably it was like 45 minutes ago about the ball stopping. That like even when Zevi's ball stopping, it's at 12 or under. So like
Yeah, I didn't mean it that way.
yeah,
I meant like we're in the middle of reversing it, and we had some guy who's taking three dribbles to go nowhere for no reason.
so I'd say on that, like at least you tell me if I'm wrong. From what I'm
You're
noticing,
wrong.
from
Yeah.
I'm noticing big difference from last year. Yeah, even last year, there will be spots where guys at 20 or 22 or whatever will attack off of no or one reversal, but like they think they have something, and then it's not there, and then it'll be two dribbles, pivot,
Get
immediate
rid of it.
immediate into a reversal, and so like it's a momentary ball stop, but like the possession still runs.
Yeah, I
Whereas
don't think that's a ball stop. I think the
yeah,
ball stop is Roy would do it a lot, and he's gotten way better at it. But Roy's trying to read and see. It's a little different than the balls getting reversed, and then we go boom, 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 boom. Why?
yeah,
Like
that was
just move it and cut and move. And I think that comes with an understanding of what we're trying to accomplish. Is that fair? Like I think that's a distinction that you have to make. I don't mean ball stop, but Zevi's a little different because Zevi has a different light than everybody else has, and so you you have to play off of that instead of fight that. And I think at times in the past, guys have fought that, and we've tried to say just let him be who he is, like that. And I think the biggest credit goes to everybody who plays with him. In particular, guys who can score, like Max, who can actually really score, but give of themselves to understand that this is what's best for us right now. And that, guys, I'm so, Oren, you have anything before I close this?
Um, I want to ask one question about the weekend.
Can I just say one answer
Yeah, sure.
quickly?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
sure. You talked as
That's
long as
what
you want.
that's why, for Max to win MVP meant a lot to me personally. It was because like you go to my room in my house, you'll see all these accolades, all these plaques. Wow, like score 30 points, you score this amount of points, you win MVP, you win player of the year. Like it's nice and all, but like, do I ever think I could have took the role of, hey, listen, I know I'm capable of scoring, but I'm just gonna like take a step back because there's another guy on my team that wants to score more. Like it would be very difficult for me to do that. And a guy,
It was very difficult for you to
yeah,
do that.
and to have a guy that's just like, listen, I'm so capable of scoring. I mean, you watch him in practice, he gets to the rim at will and just goes, hey, listen, I know there are times where I could do it and there are times that I just have to stop to get other people the ball. Like that's what wins MVP. And that's somebody who like you don't see on the stat sheet. You don't see a guy averaging 15 points like that. But
Yeah,
we're not here today. We're only here today because of him. So
yeah.
yes, sir.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, Zevi, you could do whatever you do, And if there's not something on either the other end of the floor or somebody else giving it up for you, it's very similar to when Ryan showed up and Simcha's kind of like, I don't need to do that now. And the best part about them was that they didn't care who was going to score. They just wanted to win. And so Sim's like, I got 2 points tonight and I'm happy as all get out. And I think that's the ingredient of a championship team. That guys who just go, I don't care. They used to say we're chasing letters and not numbers. And like, let's just get the W. That's all we want. And so when you do that, Zevi, when you have guys who play with you like that, and guys who are willing to do that, that's what your point on Max is huge. That's what, and look, it's Yair who can do the same thing. Yair can get you 30, and he just loves passing the basketball and doing all this. It's almost like he was the missing piece here with you other guys. He was like, Yair is like, whoa, what? The pass he throws to Yoav last night, straight out of Matthew Stafford, where he's
I
like
love
looking
him.
at you, right? You saw that where he
He
looking
shifts
at
the whole defense. He shifted the whole
yeah.
defense with his eyes.
That's the same moment, too.
The post guy leaves. The
It's a
post guy leaves.
point game
14
plan.
leaves the paint, and
Yeah.
then boom, and there's nobody around him. But by the way, that's as good as I guess Zevi. It's Yair who hits you on the back cut right in the end of the half.
Yeah, that was here.
Yeah, that's the same kind of. It wasn't anything fancy. It was just the right play at the right time by the right player. That's how guys get 36, and that's how you win championships. And it's not like you get 36 because Zevi's just jacking every time he touches it. We've had nights like that. In particular, I think against this team, Farmingdale, right? Didn't you have one of them nights where you like
That's because Max was out and
Well,
three
Tom.
other guys were out. They were
Yeah.
all out, and that game plan was touch the ball and shoot the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
And
mean, you see games like that where it's like Zevi. We want Zevi to go do his thing, but it also like you see the games where Zevi just, I guess you could say a little bit doing too much. His games against Chapman, we end up losing. Games against Farmingdale, like the
Got it.
past couple of
Yeah.
years, like that. I remember that I didn't play that home game we had. I think our second year.
Yeah.
You had probably 35 hit some of your signature Zevi shots, but we lost by 15. So
What
it's
good did it do? What good did it
yeah,
do?
but
And-
it's
But that's sort of why this whole thing has culminated into when you're playing right, you knock out 60-point halves, not at a 60-point pace. You know what I mean? Like some teams get 60 because they're just running and go. We're not doing that. Now, don't let us get out on a break. I'll give you that. But when we're executing in the half court and we're getting 2 reversals at least and a post touch, we're going for 70% from the floor. I don't care who you are, you're difficult to beat. And that's sort of what you guys, I think we had a 61 the other couple weeks ago. We had 61 in the first half and 20 in the second.
Right.
Something stupid like that. Like if you're going to do it, reverse it. Have 20 like yesterday in the first half, and then 60 like yesterday in the second. If you're going to throw one of them skunks up there, that's how you do it. And I'm telling you, the only reason those things happen, because we weren't turning the ball over, is because we stopped screening, cutting, moving. That's the only reason that happens. Because once we do that and execute, especially at the high level of understanding that you guys currently have, it's very difficult to beat. Do you feel like you get it, or you feel like you're still running around?
nah. I think I can speak for Zevi and I. We feel like we get it, and I think that's showed over the last 5 or 6 weeks, and while we're playing our best ball right now.
Yeah,
I think
yeah, and you are. And guys, I've thoroughly enjoyed watching you. I've been through this whole thing with you. I've watched the osmosis from darn near the dumbest basketball team we've ever had at YU, and have done really monumentally stupid things to borderline really, really magnificent basketball. And it's not just the two of you, it's the whole group that everybody's coming in and doing what they're supposed to do. And the fact that there is no everybody knows who's got to get the ball when they got to get it. And when everybody knows that it changes basketball for the whole team. I can't thank you enough. I know you're here on a tough day, but thanks for joining. I wanted to have you guys, but I never want to get you in the middle of your career.
I felt bad. I felt bad Oren didn't get to ask his question.
No, it's fine.
No,
I could probably get the answer from Poppers.
Oren's still going to ask his questions. Go ahead, Oren.
No, it's fine. I could probably get the answer from Poppers.
No, it's not
Oren,
fine.
ask.
You can get
Ask
the
your
answer
question,
from
Oren.
them. What the hell?
Well,
We're sitting right here, Oren.
All right. Well, looking
Hold
ahead
on,
to
hold on. I want to point out that's the most energy you've had tonight. Go ahead.
Also,
Zero.
just a warning. It's probably a stupid question, but all right, go ahead, Oren.
No, I want to ask you guys, looking ahead to the weekend, I think the pod really stood out to me because, you're going somewhere nearby, and normally when you draw a team in the first round, you guys have to make all these accommodations in terms of travel and the weekend. So being that it's a local site, are you guys still planning to do something as a team that weekend? Or, I know the news is pretty recent. It's only an hour ago, so maybe you don't even know what the plan is for the weekend.
I know what the plan is, and they'll have a good weekend together. So,
And we'll be playing Saturday night, hopefully. So gotta stay close.
yeah. So I think we're going to a hotel anyway. In my
Coach
opinion.
Katz, are you coming?
We can't really get out of here right now. So,
Oh, you're in Israel. I forgot.
Yeah, we don't on Friday. Coach is going to have an early wake up on Sunday morning.
I will say this though, God willing, we're supposed to come to America a week from Tuesday. So win this weekend, I'll call my mom. Win both this weekend, I'll call my mom and say, Mom, I know you're alone and I really love you. And I said I was going to stay with you, but screw that basketball.
Yeah, Coach, you're going down to Georgia.
You're going to Atlanta.
We're to Roanoke to see your boy Clay.
Maybe we'll go to, well, it's not that far, it's 6 hours. Yeah. Maybe we'll go to Roanoke.
Coach Katz, I'll give you the best piece of advice from your offense that you've taught me, all right?
Go ahead, Zevi.
Set a back screen, and when you can't get out of Israel, you slip the screen, cut to the basket, and get over here, all right? Anything is possible with the motion offense. But Oren, we are very excited, and the most important thing we were excited for is we want to have a packed home crowd like we just had on Sunday. On Sunday yesterday, it was like, it was sad that the first two rounds we struggled to get some fans, but on Sunday they showed up, and we're excited for Friday since it's local. There's no excuses. Got to get a packed house, and Marissa Shem, another team Shabbaton. We're excited.
Yeah, that would be great.
Awesome.
Look, guys, I normally would be there, and you guys know that. And I do have a lot of work to do for this weekend from you guys. And I'm kind of stuck in my apartment, so nothing better to do than go over game film and put things together for you. But from the beginning of your time here, I can't believe it's already over. But it's been a true joy to watch your growth as a coach and as, I like to think, a friend, but to watch your growth as players, as men, as Jews, as everything. You're everything that's right about college basketball, both of you. And I am immensely proud of you and very grateful that you did this the right way, that the little kids don't have to ask their dad, why did he do that with that guy? You know what I mean? That we just do it the right way. We're going to play the right way, going to behave off the floor the right way. We're going to lead the right way. Just awesome, terrific leadership and everything about it, everything about what you've done is a credit to you, the university, a credit to your families, a credit to your community, and a credit to the Yeshiva University as a whole, because you just did it the right way, and now you get to reap the benefits of it. And they can never, ever take this away from you. In other words, you did go back to back. You did go 19-0. Like, you did all those things we like when when y'all came in, we thought, you know how good they're going to be when they're seniors, man. And sometimes that road is a little rockier and takes a little few different turns than you thought. But to know that you got tested and you got through it, and now you get to reap the benefits. Don't forget to enjoy the journey here. Like this is should be the fun week of practice. It's going to be hard, and there's things. I'm telling you, there's things you're going to have to prepare for over the next few days that are not easy to deal with. It doesn't matter. Enjoy the journey, and on behalf of every fan who's watched you play, you guys are straight up the best, and I love you guys. I've told you that, and I loved teaching you. I loved watching you, and thank you for coming on the show. It was extremely meaningful to me to have you because I don't really think maybe we had Doton once, right, or something, but that was we don't really get players here because it's a deep XO kind of more conversation. Because I could have you on, Zevi, and you could tell me about all your off the court stuff and chakras and all that, and that's great. But they could watch you on every other interview and every other podcast say that. But here we get to see Zevi talking basketball. Fair, Max? Like,
That's what I love to
is that
do. So that's the
yeah?
best. That's the best type of Zevi.
Well, yeah. But you're both great at it, and I hope you continue to play, and or stay involved in the game because you're special, and it's been a true joy. You guys have anything you want to say?
I think I'm good,
Okay,
Pop.
so we'll
Coach,
give
thank
you
you
the
so
last
much.
word.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll see you guys on
Our,
Thursday.
Best
our
of luck,
pleasure.
guys. Bring it
Yes,
home.
sir.
Thanks so much, Coach.
See you.
My pleasure, guys. You two losers stay on top. You two guys, thanks for coming. I'm talking. There you go. Thanks for coming, Max. I'll talk to you Wednesday. He's gone. Okay. All right. So that's pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty
Wow.
it's pretty hard to top that and continue the
So
rest of the show,
entertaining.
right?
Right. So okay. So maybe we'll do another one next week then, regardless of how this turns out.
Sounds good to me. All right, for Coach and the rest of our crew, I'm Oren Glickman. Thanks so much to everybody. Wishing.
Hey, last thing. Last
Oh,
thing.
go ahead, Coach.
Last thing. This is just for this asshole Tucker Carlson. I don't need a DNA test. The land itself tells you, as the very Bible. I don't know if you saw what I wrote about it, but I would appreciate if you pimped it on your social media. The the land that we live in, the the Bible that they profess to love and know, tells you that when the Jews return, the land is going to respond. As Rabbi Soloveitchik said, the land didn't respond to anyone, but waited for her children to come home. Now that we're here, screw you. That's my DNA. My DNA is the land tells you, O mountains of Jerusalem, open up, for my people have returned and the redemption is near. That is what's happened. So if that's not good enough, screw all y'all. We're here. Get over it. We're not going anywhere. All right. That's my little screw you message to all the haters are going to hate. All right, guys. I had to get that out.
Wishing all
All
of our
right, fellas.
viewers.
We did this sans interruption. So thank you, Iran, for allowing us to get our podcast in.
Well,
Coach,
obviously,
I'm just gonna clip your when you said thank you, Iran. Put that out.
obviously we're keeping all our viewers in mind from Israel. We're keeping Coach in mind. Wishing everybody a happy Purim. YU will be playing Bates at Montclair State Friday afternoon. We believe the tip-off time will be 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
And
just
those
information.
those who are in Chutz La'aretz, we highly encourage everybody to attend and cheer YU on as if it's a home game at the MSAC. And for Coach Katz and the rest of our crew, I'm Oren Glickman. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's go, Max.